come once again to discuss things.
Okay, on that note, hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Geeky, gentlemen. I am Sid Part 2. Joining me today is Milan, Jeftic1992, and Zazubar. Say hello, Jeff.
Hi everyone. I can't stop laughing now because that just happened.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, how are you today?
Oh, they're all good, Milan, they're all good. Except for that guy. Except, you know who you are, man? I appreciate you coming out here. It's good that you're here. And don't worry, it's gonna be okay.
Yeah.
I promise.
We love you, bro.
Anyway.
Should we tell people the occurrences that happened here at Geeky Gentlemen over the past...
Oh, I was about to. Anyone want to tell the story? Not Milan, because he's going to go on for entirely too long.
So I guess that only I'm left.
Bill, do you want to tell or should I?
It's up to you. I'll tell it if you want, or you can...
Go ahead, Bill, but I reserve the right to cut you off for being verbose.
Sure. Okay, so every Friday, we generally try and record the show. And we've stuck with this for a long time now, ever since we started the show. Lately, things have gotten in the way. Milan's been busy, I've been busy, I have other podcasts to do, Ian's got a girlfriend, Milan's got a job. We have stuff that gets in the way, and it sometimes prevents us from doing the podcast, which sucks because we like doing the podcast. So last night, seemingly nothing is in our way. We're gonna fucking rock you motherfuckers like a goddamn hurricane. We're gonna hit you with some of the finest podcasting this side of the internet. Unfortunately, recently, Skype has decided to be a bunch of dickheads and make it impossible to use Pamela to record Skype calls. We knew this before we went in, because I had tried to record a podcast the previous week and it wouldn't work with Pamela. So last night, we were trying to figure out ways in order to do it without Pamela, and the way we decided to settle down on was each of us would record separate audio from each of our microphones, and then Ian was going to compile it into one giant audio file to use as the podcast. Seemingly, this would work in theory. So we each used our separate audio recorders to try and record the podcast. And the podcast should have been about, I don't know, an hour and 15, I guess it was, right? Is that around the right time, guys?
Yeah. So
basic length. And I was using a program to record audio that I hadn't used before. And I fucked up royally. Because the button that I thought was used to record it only primes the recorder to record. It doesn't actually record. You have to press a different button to start recording. And I didn't realize this until about 5 minutes after we'd stopped recording, or stopped doing the show. So we spent about, I don't know, like an hour trying to figure out... And by the way, it was a really good episode. Exceptionally good episode, especially...
The mysterious lost episode of Geeky Gentlemen.
We're never going to tell you guys what we talked about.
Right?
Never. Unless the episode somehow gets released, you're never going to find out what the topic was. It'll go down in history, and it's going to go down the hatch of the Geeky Gentleman archive.
Because here on Geeky Gentlemen, we don't like we like having a natural flow of conversation.
Right.
And there's just no way that you can, like, reproduce... that's the thing, you can never do an episode of Geeky Gentlemen again, you know?
No, absolutely.
We can do part 2s of topics because our opinions change and grow over time and they deepen, and usually we'd have someone else come on for that topic. It wouldn't just be the three of us again or whatever.
Right.
But there's no way we're going to try to do that, like, not... I hate to use the cliche, but capture lightning in a bottle twice kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're not going to try to do that again because it's going to come off as ingenuine.
That's not what the show is.
Yeah, the show is about having a conversation
right, exactly.
all the way through.
Exactly.
Yeah, basically, guys, just a few hints what happened. Men cried, men laughed, men died, men survived. Women came over, a lot of women. Women cried, men cried, women cried, then laughed.
that started off being really poetic and kind of rhymed a little bit, or at least it was a slant rhyme, and then it just devolved. You started that out so well, and then it just devolved into, like, repeating yourself.
Right. But otherwise, no, it was a lot of fun and stuff.
Yeah.
I was talking to Haley this morning, because she's like, did you have fun last night? I'm like, yes, and now I'm mad. She's like, why? Because Pamela decided not to record. And she goes,
sorry.
No, hold on, this is great. She goes, I thought it was a show about men, with men only. Who the fuck's Pamela?
That's so funny.
Oh, women and their jealousy.
Even though we've had a woman on the show before.
Like, seriously, no one realizes that. Geeky Gentleman's just the name of the show. Women can come on here.
Right?
It's okay.
Yeah. Right?
It's okay, we won't bite. Well,
So-
at least Bill and Ian won't.
Yeah, Milan's like a fucking viper. He'll fucking bite whatever moves. So,
Oh, yeah.
the major climax of this story is one that only added the fuel to our fire. So, after we're done, we're trying to figure out, alright, if that episode's gone, let's at least try and figure out a better alternative to record the show every week, because even the way we would have done it if my audio had been recorded, it would have been asinine. So, we were trying to figure out a better way to do it. So, Ian and I, and Milan, I think you were there at some point, spent like a half hour searching through the internet, searching through our computers, trying to find something that can get the show recorded every week. And then, through my Google expedition, I came across an article released by the parent company that owns Skype. I don't think it was Microsoft, whatever actually produces their software. Says, due to, I forget how it was worded, but basically they were saying, due to the reaction by consumers of what we want to do with Skype, we're going to retain the two most popular features of Skype in the update. The call recording, and then there was another one they were getting rid of. So I was like, wait a minute. So that means Pamela is either working or Skype has built in a recorder. So we spent like 5 minutes trying to see if that happened. It didn't. Both with our updated versions of Skype. And then we tried Pamela. And both of our Pamelas worked. And this wasn't like something we didn't... It's not even like we didn't even think to try. We did try before we recorded the show. It still didn't work.
Yeah.
So this...
So weird.
Was exceptionally aggravating. We were fucking cursing and so pissed off. But whatever, we're here now. We're using Pamela, and hopefully the show will profit from it. But it was an angering experience. And again, it was a good episode too, which really made us angry.
Dude, like, I think it might have been our best episode ever, don't you guys?
It might have
Oh,
been.
yeah.
It might have been, like, the greatest thing. Like, you remember that one part where, like, fucking Christopher Eccleston showed up, and he was all like, Ian, suck my dick.
And you totally did?
And
Yeah.
he fucking did it. He went down on Eccleston like you fucking read about. And then,
And because of that, Eccleston's gonna be in Doctor Who again?
yes,
And,
yes. He and Peter Capaldi are going to have adventures together. The Doctor
And they're gonna be a gay couple with themselves,
Yes.
so it's gonna be like masturbation and gay sex.
Yes, we will.
And then fucking Grant Morrison came on the show, and he was all like, he explained the meaning of life to us
Yes.
through Batman and Superman's relationship. It was a pretty awesome episode.
It was very gay, but it was extremely.
And the thing is, you know what's the worst thing about this thing? You guys were having all the gay, sexy fun, and I'm just sitting here fuming.
Yeah, the
I
one.
was like,
Yeah, and then
"Ugh."
Phil, I know what your favorite part was though. It was, you gotta admit, it was pretty awesome when Godzilla showed up and he threw in his 2 cents on the conversation.
You
know, and he's a very articulate lizard.
It's,
I gotta
it's
say.
shocking.
Oh, yeah.
If you think for a creature that is not only ancient but also not human and gigantic, he's pretty well spoken. He should be a politician. He should join the Japanese diet. I mean,
I'd vote for him.
I'd vote for
Yeah,
him
me
too.
too.
For Japanese Prime Minister Godzilla 2014, we salute you.
Yeah.
Yep. It was a pretty epic show, guys. Sorry you
Yeah.
missed it.
Yeah, should have been there.
I mean,
we invited
dude.
you.
Yeah.
You just didn't show up.
You know what else happened? With me? I reached enlightenment.
Yeah, Milan, like, became one with the universe and shit, guys.
Literally.
Yeah.
It was fucking disturbing.
Like, seriously, Milan went to the center of the universe and had sex with it. It was pretty insane.
He had
And
sex
guess everyone, guess what? Due to my tampering with the time-space continuum, apparently I am the genesis of all human creation. So,
They're all the sons and daughters of Milan Jeftik 1992.
yeah, you know what's the
Father
worst?
Milan
Had sex
had
with
many
God.
sons. Many sons had Father Milan.
You know what's the
Milan
worst thing?
God.
No, I am kind of God. But the thing is,
You know, don't make a big deal out of it, obviously, you know.
you know what's the worst thing? You know what's the worst thing about it is? I can't have sex ever again with anything human.
His penis melted off.
No, not because that as well, but because I'm basically the father of everyone, and so it's like I don't want to be like creepy and incestuous. I'm the ultimate father guy who rapes his kids. Like, hey, I don't want to be that. I want to be like it's terrible, but I'll take that sacrifice.
And that's
for
why
you,
Milan
my
has
children.
decided from this point on to only have sex with inanimate objects.
And animals.
No, wouldn't they be your children too?
Well, no, it's just humans
Just humans, okay. So it wouldn't be
Just-
all life on Earth.
and some plants.
Humans and some plants. And one
Mostly ferns.
and
Um,
and one species of spider that lives in Venezuela. Just one.
Exactly.
And it's
Yeah.
a very small population.
Okay, guys, why don't we get into the actual show
Definitely.
now? So the topic we're going for instead of our original topic, which is funny, you guys don't even know what the show was supposed to be about.
You
'cause we
won't,
didn't
you'll
even
never know either. It's a secret.
That we'll never tell,
It's a secret
Um,
lost in the Medusa Cascade.
right? Ha, clever.
Yeah.
So anyway, the topic we're going for this time, and Milan says he's working on a title card. We'll see if one shows up.
Guy, Ian, Bill, I have the greatest title card you've I know the viewers already know this because they're looking at it and coming on the screen from the sheer gloriousness.
Oh god, I hope that's
Gloriousness.
not happening.
Oh my god, dude, there is Ian, and fucking Cthulhu is behind him, and there's me as the Green Lantern, and there's you, Zazavar, as a giant Doctor Who lizard, and it's great.
That's
It's
pretty
so
awesome.
great.
Milan.
It is. And
Okay.
And Ian,
So
you're
basically-
just being, violated all kinds of ways. It's great.
Oh, excellent! I get
Oh,
tentacle rape.
great! McDonald's
anyway.
like the third geeky gentleman in the tentacle porn. I'm so honored.
That should be
Anyway.
that should be a topic. Oh god. Anyway, continue.
No, it should.
So yeah, what we're talking about is something that's actually been in my head for a while, and it's the idea of bleeding fandoms. And what we mean by this is I'm using the show as an example of it,
Yeah.
because I think it's almost been an experiment in doing this.
Indeed.
In that, when you get new friends, like, you obviously share some kind of common ground. For us, comic books, mostly Batman, right? That's the one thing that we all have in common that we all like, no matter what, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Except Milan, apparently.
I love
Oh,
Batman. What are you talking
Milan
about?
hates Batman.
I love Batman. I love Batman.
Anyway. So, we all have that in common, and, there are things I have in common with a lot of my other friends. But then, over time, you start talking to your other friends about these certain things, and it gets you interested in it to the point where you start to become a fan of it.
Mm.
With Bill and I, it's Bill became a fan of Doctor Who because of me. And Milan and I became a fan of H.P. Lovecraft stuff because of Milan. And I'm making Milan into a fan of Green Lantern with a series of videos he and I are starting this Wednesday. The first one of them will be up. So there's like this interesting thing that happens, and I want to get into why it happens and what some of the other fandom bleeds that we've had are in a little bit here. But I want to get into the root of why do we think it happens exactly.
Oh.
I have a few thoughts. Personally, I think it's because when you hang around certain people for a while, you don't really the subject that got you together in the first place kind of gets drained out, and eventually people get to know each other over time. And of course, well, people start talking about what they like, and they start saying, hey, I like this thing. You check this thing out. You might like this thing. And that other person might get a little bit, apprehensive at first, saying, I don't want to talk about it, but then you slowly slip it in through conversation and poison the other person's mind with this thing that you like Ian did, to me with Green Lantern. And eventually, the amount of curiosity that gets dredged up in your skull eventually overwhelms your good sense, and you fall to the incessant whining of the fanboy that is your friend. And you, like an amoeba, you split, and you become you're like a cell. No, you're like an octopus that gets... you get...
Okay, Milan's metaphor is...
Milan was lost in that metaphor.
Okay,
You get assimilated.
You get assimilated in the fandom that your friend is part of. Already.
Yes, use the Borg. Good idea.
Okay. How about what are your thoughts on this?
I think it's the same reason why friends dress the same way. Because you look at a lot of friend groups, and I definitely had this in my freshman year of high school. When you hang out with people long enough, there's naturally you want to look like them because you want to be associated with them because you like being friends with them. There's something about that person that attracts you to them that you want to spend a lot of time with them and you want to be associated with them. This isn't always true, but usually it is. And I definitely had this in my freshman year of high school. I started wearing a lot of black hoodies, a lot of sweatshirts, a lot of dark jeans, a lot of sneakers, to match along with my friends. They were all into, fucking heavy metal music and shit, and they would wear black and fucking wear these, horrible corpses fucking playing air guitar in their fucking t-shirts and shit. I didn't go that far with it, but I tried to kind of mimic that style of clothing in order to, fit in with that group. I don't really hang out with that group anymore, but I still have remnants of them in the person I am now.
God, I wish people would mimic the way I dress. Just get a bunch of people going down the street wearing fucking green pants and shit. That'd be awesome.
No. You know what this will eventually lead up to the Geeky Gentleman movie, which will eventually happen with me wearing a purple zoot suit, Ian wearing a red zoot suit, and Bill wearing a white zoot suit, and we're just walking down the street in slow motion as an explosion.
See, if we ever do a Geeky Gentleman movie, Bill's gonna have to actually buy a life-size Godzilla costume.
Oh, Ian, it's so cute you'd think I don't have one already. No, I have one from Zilla 98, strangely enough.
Really? A costume? A good quality?
No, just the head. And it looks fine. It's really beat up because it's actually from 1998, obviously. And it doesn't really...
No, I meant you'll go out and buy a replica of one of the costumes. I know you like the 90s one. So I literally think that you should go out and get or commission a cosplay maker to make you a life-size Godzilla suit.
Yeah, life-size, so it's fucking...
Or film... My bad, film accurate. A film accurate Godzilla suit. Yeah. And then, you'll have to go to, a really big and tall store and get a suit jacket that can fit around it.
Well, I mean, I would just wear... Realistically, well, if you're going to do it like the classic films did, realistically, I just wear the mask, look through the neck, because that's how they did it back then, and paint my arms green, because the way Milan draws it on the title card, I don't have the claws.
Well, that's just because Milan is lazy.
Yeah.
So, that's how it'll work.
Milan, will you do me a favor and update the title card, the main standard title card, so that he has claws?
Alright, then I can do that.
Thank you.
Damn it, Milan, you make my job harder. Anyway, so that's what I think is behind it all. I think it's just because you want to be closely associated with the people you want to spend time with, and you want to be a lot like them. It's the natural thing of friendship, and if that starts to happen, you're definitely friends with those people, and you're not just an acquaintance. I know I'm friends with Ian because he fucking got me into 2 major shows I watch now and I'm a big fan of, with Sherlock and Doctor Who.
Oh, okay. I was like, what else?
Well, it was first, really, because I wasn't sold on Doctor Who entirely, even when we did that series. I got into Sherlock first, and then I got into Who after that, after finishing Sherlock. So I mean, that's definitely a testament to that. I am really intrigued by H.P. Lovecraft now, thanks to Milan. I actually watched a really shitty movie on Netflix about a year ago, a little under actually, called The Last Lovecraft, I think it was called, and it was pretty terrible. But the only reason I watched it was because, I know a little bit about Lovecraft now. Let me see what this is, and maybe talk to Milan about it at some point. I think we had a conversation about it here or there. So that's why I spent 2 hours watching that movie, because I was friends with you. So I think it's just a natural thing of, if you like somebody, you want to emulate them or be closely associated with them through your interests and even appearance, as I said earlier. So I think that's what's at the core.
If you like somebody, essentially you want to wear their skin.
Pretty much.
That's like the creepiest thing.
Well, Ian, it goes back to ancient barbaric traditions. If you want to have somebody's power, you have to ingest their flesh.
So I wonder, for me, I'm very similar. For me, I'm very similar on Bill's view. I don't dress like my groups of friends. The weird thing is, I just over time belong to different groups of friends, and I'm still friends with all these people. We just don't hang out as much because life gets in the way and stuff.
Likewise, yeah.
But for me, I never dressed like any of them. I always had my own sense of style, most definitely. But I always found myself talking like whatever group I was with.
Definitely.
And I didn't notice it until I started hanging out with David and Phil. Because then the word nigger became a very big part of my vocabulary. Because they say it all the fucking time, and you just get used to it, and you know exactly how it's supposed to be used, and where it's supposed to be used, kind of like shui, so you start using it. And, the first time, everyone kind of looks at you, but it's just so natural that it takes them a minute to notice.
I have the same thing with the word sick. That same group of friends I just talked about would constantly use the term sick as a positive thing. And I never saw it as that way. It was always, it's sick. But they started using it in that way, so I started using it. I was like, that was sick, man. We go and see a movie, just be like, that was fucking sick. And I still use it today. One of the subdivisions of, the headings I put on my videos is sicktastic, and that comes from that. So that's a phenomenon I experience as well.
Yeah.
With me,
I think it is just trying to be like your friends.
Definitely.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Essentially, with me is, Ian essentially got me onto Green Lantern, and I always been kind of interested in Green Lantern, and thinking, he's kind of cool or whatever. I heard there's some really good stuff written about him, and Ian over time kind of got me into that. He just kept, telling me about this great Green Lantern book and that Green Lantern book, and essentially, after a while, I saw a trade for Sinestro Corps War and Blackest Night, and I thought, these things were about, 20-something bucks each, and I had some extra cash on me. And I thought, hey, this looks cool. Ian said these were cool, and I picked them up. And of course, I picked them up, and I have these two trades with me. And then I picked up Green Lantern Origins along with it. That was in a later date. And when I read it, I was expecting something. I was expecting something good. I was expecting something, hey, Green Lantern, because everyone, Ian keeps telling me how great it is. And when I read it, it was just like, this is really good. And after that point, I became a Green Lantern fan. Because Ian essentially introduced me to a whole new world.
A whole new world.
New world.
See, this is the part where people turn off the video, guys.
Don't insult Milan and I singing. He's just jealous, Milan. A whole new world.
So Ian is essentially Aladdin because he is brown and I am Jasmine. And we're writing
Milan
We're totally doing a Disney title card we're totally doing a Disney review just to get that title card.
Shit, Milan's just like a whole new world. And you just see me as Godzilla just in the ocean. Or on the genie.
No, yes. No, wait, Godzilla is the monkey.
How the hell is that possible? We can't have a tiny Godzilla.
Sense on the genie.
Yeah, the genie.
Godzilla's already tiny in the show. He's even tinier. Zazubar's version of Godzilla has an added power of changing his size.
That's another thing. that definitely didn't go to the same extent as Doctor Who did with me and Green Lantern did with Milan. But I mean, I definitely got you guys at least interested in Godzilla.
You did? I just think you oversell Godzilla is the problem, because you always talk about like how rich the character is and stuff, and I see elements of that, but I think you really have to be committed to the character, and you really have to have a lot of nostalgia and love for the character of Godzilla to see all that.
I definitely think that's true, and that's why you guys...
people like me that just come into it is like, oh, it's cool, and I can kind of see elements of that here and there, but the movies don't quite work for just a normal person, quote-unquote normal person, uninitiated person seeing
that. That is
them.
absolutely accurate. It is one of those things where you need to get them young with Godzilla, especially fucking Showa Godzilla. But
you know what Bill is to Godzilla? You know those really kind of loudmouth Christian girls like, I love Jesus, I'm so spiritual. That is Zazubar. He's just like,
totally
oh my god. Like, oh my god, Godzilla, you need some Godzilla in your life. And you must be a sad individual.
Milan, let me just say this. If I could open a church where we do nothing but talk about Godzilla on Sundays, I would totally do it. Totally do it.
And I'm pretty sure hundreds of people will go there.
Our Zazubar of Hope, that's the name of the church. Hashtag our Zazubar.
And then the screen will go dark. Everyone will get a rubber lizard glove.
This is where I was going.
Yeah, and the screen.
Here we go, crooked little vein all over again.
Crooked little vein, and the screen will fall down, and there'll just be a Godzilla fight with sex noises taped over it.
Yeah, see, there's one. I was back when we did the episode on mystery. I'm like, Milan, what's a good mystery novel? And he's like, he doesn't even hesitate. I'm like, Milan, what's a good mystery? Crooked Little Vein. He just like cut me off almost to say that.
And you were just like, oh, okay.
And like, I remember him talking about him before. He originally said he wanted to pick it as a topic at one point. But yeah, I'm like, okay, yeah, I guess I'll check that out then. So I'm sitting here looking for something. I'm sitting there looking through Crooked Little Vein, reading it. Actually, no, wait, should I listen to it while I was building my TARDIS?
That sounds cool so much more awesome than it actually was.
It's cool sentences are cooler if you don't explain them.
Indeed.
No, so I was sitting there listening to it while I was building my TARDIS, and that was a 5-hour book, and I wasn't finished by the time I finished the book. And it was really good, but the funny thing was, I began to see Milan. I began to know Milan has read this. Like, there are lines and stuff where I'm like, oh my god, I remember Milan saying this, and I just thought he was being weird and clever, but actually he just pulled it from this. And I've had that with a lot of stuff. My friend Drew, more people have had it with me and stuff than I've had it with other people, because I just straight up steal lines from things all the time.
Oh, I do that too, constantly.
And do not cite it at all.
Same here.
I'm a huge Comedy Central Presents fan, and like, my friend Drew, who never had cable growing up, he just thought I was the funniest motherfucker on the planet, because all I'd do is like wait for the scenario at which to say a good bit from some comedian on Comedy Central Presents. And then one night, Drew stays over at someone else's house, and they watch Comedy Central Presents, and then he comes up to me and he's like, You stole all the lines!
I hate it when that happens, too, because that happens to me a lot, where I'll quote something and I won't cite it, and people will be like, oh, that's really funny, or oh, that's really clever. And then they see it, and they're like, oh, this is where you got that from, you fucking lying piece of shit. And I'm like, no, don't hurt me!
The lucky thing about it is no one will have the balls to read Crooked Little Vein and call me out on it.
Crooked Little Vein is something else, man. I'll give you that.
Yeah,
that's Warren Ellis, right?
Warren Ellis, yeah.
Warren Ellis has this uncanny ability to make what is admittedly very strange and very weird seem like it's perfectly fucking normal.
Read Transmet if you want to see that.
Yeah, I mean, in Crooked Little Vein, Milan's described it. There's a scene where this dude goes into a fucking theater, and there are all these people watching Godzilla movies, but the audio has been replaced with sex noises, and they're jerking off with, like, rubber lizard hands.
You know where I think he sorry to cut you off, but you know where I think he got that from, or at least the idea of the movies with the sex noises? There was a book that came out in the late 90s, and it was fairly well publicized because it really had nothing else had been done like it for Godzilla, where somebody went back, rewatched all the Godzilla movies, and did a complex filmography of the whole series, because nobody had really done anything like that for the character. And there's a chapter in it where he talks about how the fights were filmed, and he says, you know, you got to give Akira Ifukube a lot of credit, because if these monster fights didn't have the roars or the fucking music, they would look like porno scenes. They're really, you know, the suits do a lot of connecting, and there's a lot of folding, so you got to give that guy a lot of credit. And I was like, oh my god, that's so true. And then you guys brought that up, and I was like, I know exactly where that was inspired from.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if I may bring this up, because this is something that occurred to me when I was at work tonight thinking about this topic, there is a much broader extent of bleeding fandoms than just circles of friends. A lot of times, when you talk to people who are really passionate fans of something, one of the most common responses you'll get when you ask the question, how did you get into it, is, so-and-so introduced it to me when I was a kid. And usually it's either parents or uncles. It's always one of those two. And almost everything I was a big fan of as a kid was introduced to me via my mother and father. And the two biggest examples of this, and they're my two biggest fandoms, my mom got me into Godzilla, and my dad got me into James Bond.
Oh, neat.
So, and now on my desk right now, I have an entire row of Bond and Godzilla laid next to each other. And it's a lot.
That sounded really bad.
I was just about to fucking correct that, and then you brought it up, and I was like, you son of a bitch. No, I have a display of all my Bond books and movies and all my Godzilla movies, with God on top guarding them for me and a sonic screwdriver. So it's one of those things where bleeding fandoms definitely goes beyond friendship and definitely goes to really any close relationship you have with somebody. And I think that it's very frequent for the whole idea of bleeding fandoms to be the thing that gets somebody into something, and especially with parents in childhood. Did you guys have anything like that when you were kids?
When I was a kid, essentially, my mother would always make me watch all these old pre-revolution, like all these Russian movies, all these old Russian films for kids. And I guess it's not really a genre, it's just these old types of films with these old, extremely dated effects, but with a lot of charm to them, and not too much cohesive logic to it, but gorgeous cinematography. And it's just, I guess it's what it really introduced me the concept of not letting the effects damper my enjoyment of the film, really. Because, you know, people complain about, oh, this effect looks terrible. For me, I'm just like, I just accept it. Like, no matter how, you know, bad it might seem, as long as the film has some heart, no matter how bad the effects are or the show is, you know, regarding Doctor Who, I still, you know, take it with a whole heart. I enjoy it wholeheartedly, no matter how bad the effects might be.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think it's one of those things where whatever we're introduced to by our parents in childhood, we always have this lens for it that never goes away. And I think Bond and Godzilla both definitely have that for me, because whenever I watch them, particular films especially, like for me it's when I would watch Goldfinger and when I would watch King Kong versus Godzilla, I always think of, oh, I remember watching this with my dad, or oh, I remember watching this with my mom on like Saturday mornings with Godzilla, or like a Friday night with James Bond. So I mean, I think that's definitely a factor. I think it's different though, because it's not the same kind of behavior, I think, as bleeding fandoms with friends. Because what we said earlier is that bleeding fandoms with friends, it often happens because you want to be associated with them. You know what I mean? Like, you want to look like your friend. You want to talk like your friend. You want to be into the same stuff as your friend. I think it's a little different with parenting, but I don't know if I can, you know, vocalize how. But there's definitely a difference. And I don't know if it's a difference with mimicking or if it's a difference between association, you know what I mean?
Mm.
Because I don't think when I got into Godzilla, it wasn't to be associated with my mom as like, oh, I want to get into this that way I can, like, you know, talk to my mom about it and be like, oh, we're both Godzilla fans. It was more of, I really love and look up to my mom, and I want to be like that. So I want to get into the same, you know, fandoms as she was. And I think that's me going back and cognitively reframing what happened when I was a kid. So I think it's different.
Interesting. I don't know, like, I don't really have any of my, like, major fandoms inspired by my parents. Like, it's weird, I do and I don't.
What about Bad Santa?
I mean, Bad Santa is a tradition for me. I do love the movie, but it's a tradition more than anything. I mean, my dad really got me into the Three Stooges, and I love the Three Stooges. I have, a Zippo lighter with the three of them on it that I got him, and I retrieved that from the house after he died. And my mom, like, she liked Frasier growing up, and I watched through the entire series on Netflix, but I don't know if I'd call myself, like, a Frasier fan. If there was a Frasier convention, I can't really see myself going. But, like, Batman, like, I'm just looking around my room. Star Wars, no, not really. That was something I just kind of got into on my own. Batman, all on my own.
Would you call yourself a major Star Wars fan?
Not like... See, it's weird, because when you say Star Wars fan, you know, we all have this certain image in our mind of, like, a very particular kind of guy.
Definitely.
So no, not like that, not like the stereotypical Star Wars fan, but I'm a fan of Star Wars,
I mean,
so...
I'll say this, just because I don't think I've ever said it on this show before. I like the first 3 Star Wars films, but if I said I was a Star Wars fan, I think Star Wars fans would get pissed at me.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to put it.
I personally I don't give a rat's ass about Star Wars whatsoever. Like, even like,
we just
even
lost 15 viewers.
No, I'm sorry. I'm just like, I tried to get into it as a young man. The thing is, when I was a little kid, everyone was talking about Star Wars on the playground. Like, oh, fucking Darth Vader, because everyone had went out and watched like the 3 prequels because the sequels were coming out. I mean, the 3 original films because the sequels were coming out. And I'm like, who is this? What is this Darth Vader? Who is this Skooky Likewalker? And I tried to sit down and watch the films. And, like, I watched them out of order. I'm like, what is this man? This is a man in the black... Is this Dracula from space? What is this?
That's Darth Vader, Dracula from space.
Dracula from space. And I'm like... I eventually watched all the 3 movies. My little brother loves these fucking the originals. My little brother loves all the freaking Star Wars movies. He basically, once we were in Moscow, he begged my mom to buy him a box set of all the Star Wars movies. It was like, actually not a box set, but this burnt DVD with in Russian of all the actual films, the first, you know, all 6 films. And he sat down and he rewatched it religiously. He loved the movies, and I didn't. And I watched them as well. But I just, you know, I never got into it because it's just like, I love the Clone Wars, the Cartoon Network spin-off. I love those, and you know, I love bits.
Oh my god, I haven't seen those in years. Yeah,
I love those.
I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah, those are fantastic. I love that about Star Wars. The thing is...
Yeah, but, anyway, what I was trying to get at, sorry, Milan, but kind of cut.
It's just,
there.
it never turned into a fandom for me. It just turned into, like, yeah, it's a thing that exists.
Well, let me just, Ian, before you get going, let me just say this one last thing about Star Wars. I have only read one extended universe Star Wars thing, and that was only because it was the only thing at a book fair that interested me. And in elementary school, when you went to a book fair, you had to get something. It was a requirement. So I remember reading it for that reason. But otherwise, I don't think I've ever read an extended universe thing, but I've played the video games, if that counts. So I thought I'd just throw that in there.
Yeah, I've played a couple Star Wars video games. I don't know, I'm a fan of Star Wars. You know, fucking lightsabers are cool.
I'm a fan of Battlefront 2. I'll say that.
Yeah, no, I like Star Wars. I like God of War. I'm seriously just looking around my room. I like Sonic. I mean, I played Sonic growing up. I was terrible at it, and I'm still terrible at Sonic side-scrollers. I'm mostly a fan of Sonic, oddly enough, for the fucking cartoon shows, and it's my dad that, bought me a VHS tape of the cartoons
There you
and
go.
got me my Sega Genesis, but, like, that, I mean, there was a basketball game in there, too, and that didn't take, obviously. It's like, there's nothing that, they introduced me to it, but it wasn't intentionally sitting me down and showing me it, like you guys are kind of talking about.
I don't know if it was that for me either. Maybe with Godzilla, but it was only a one-time thing, and it was kind of like just on a whim. I remember, and I'll tell this story really quickly, the quick and easy version. Rainy day, went to Kmart, my mom was like, oh, Godzilla, I watched that as a kid, this will entertain him. Put on King Kong vs. Godzilla, bam, I'm the man I am today. And with my dad, it was... my dad always used to watch fucking James, and he still does this, and, I don't really watch it with him because now I have all of them. My dad used to watch James Bond every Saturday night on Clue, which used to be called something else, but the modern equivalent is Clue Network. And they would always play a classic Bond movie on Saturday night, so it would be like 11 o'clock at night, and he'd be watching, like, Thunderball. Which is a horrible movie, but still he'd be watching it. He'd be watching Thunderball, and I remember sneaking down and just kind of getting engrossed in the world of James Bond, and the demeanor of James Bond, and just kind of sitting down, starting watching it. And one day I said to him, I was like, Dad, I'm a James Bond fan. And
he started to cry, and he's like, finally, my son is a man.
Yeah, well, it was actually kind of like that. That and Die Hard. So yeah, that's kind of how it was for me. In a way, in both cases, I became bigger fans of those things than my parents are.
Yeah, for me, no. It's just like I'm kind of a self-made fan for a lot of my fandoms. With the exception of H.P. Lovecraft. I mean, Bill and Milan. I have in my room. I'm looking at it right now. A Godzilla in a fighting pose with a Cthulhu action figure. Admittedly, Godzilla's wearing a white suit jacket and a white tie, and Cthulhu has a Santa Claus hat on right now. But still...
That's inconsequential.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
I'm a fan of those things because of you guys.
Yeah.
I'm going to go see the Godzilla 2014 movie. I'm going to make sure I see it in theaters because fucking Bill, if this is not the greatest movie of all time, I'm going to be sorely disappointed.
I know, right? Well, based on these fucking trailers, I'm going to be even more pissed because they look pretty fucking sick.
No, it's like I'm excited to see that movie. You got me interested in it. I went and downloaded videos from people I don't fucking know because they have the leaked trailers and Bill's connected to this network of fans and shit.
Yeah, I am the Harriet Tubman of Godzilla fans.
Right? And it's like I've always really loved those things.
That's going to t-shirt.
I confused myself with my sentences. The things I'm a fan of, though, Batman. My friend Drew talked about Batman a lot once I'd kind of, gotten into it a little bit. He helped my fandom of Batman, but I'm a bigger fan of Batman than Drew is.
That tends to happen. Everything we just talked about with Godzilla and James Bond, as I said, I ascended my parents in terms of fandom. And
I surpassed them.
I surpassed them, yes. I fucked them up in terms of being a fan.
I turned a hobby into a lifestyle.
But I'm wondering if that happens. It seems to happen a lot with becoming a fan of something through somebody else, because it seems to almost be this subconscious part of I want to conquer it and surpass the other person. I wonder if that's part of it, you know what I mean? Because it's you do research, you fucking absorb everything that has to do with it, maybe also catching up to that person in terms of being a fan as a part of it. Because I definitely had this with Who. I fucking absorbed Doctor Who after...
Just so you could talk about it.
Right, exactly. Or Deadpool Zilla, or any of the guys I became friends with because of Who, or talked to about Who. I absorbed it. It's shocking how recent of a Doctor Who fan I am, and how much I know about it now. It's fucking weird. I can name all of the Doctors in sequence and not fuck up.
Really?
Yeah.
Do it now.
William Hartnell, Patrick Troughton, John Pertwee, Tom Baker, Peter Davison, Colin Baker, Sylvester McCoy, Paul McGann, Christopher Eccleston, David Tennant, Matt Smith, Peter Capaldi, and Peter Cushing was in between Hartnell and Troughton.
You forgot one.
Oh, John Hurt, in between McGann and Eccleston. My bad. He doesn't count. He didn't call himself the Dr. Ian.
Holy shit. Yeah, Bill, I am impressed. I'm not a Doctor Who fan, but even just your ability to memorize knowledge that will not help you at all is impressive.
I'm pretty good at it. I can name every James Bond movie in sequence, too.
I'm gonna show you.
No, I'm not gonna want you to do that.
Do the Bonds.
We'll be here all day.
Lazenby, Moore, Dalton, Brosnan, Craig.
Okay.
Damn. Fuck your shit.
Don't name all the movies. We'll be here all day, and no one will care.
I'll do it with Godzilla too. No, that'll take even longer.
Name all the Godzilla movies in the order in which they occur, continuity-wise.
That's actually kind of easier.
Ian, what have you done? Now he's.
No, actually, that's the hard thing to do with comic books.
Oh.
Name all the Batman trades written by Grant Morrison in the order in which they occur by continuity, not in the order in which they came out.
Alright, Milan. Name all of the Robins.
I can do that.
Alright, fine.
Grayson, Todd.
All of them.
That's what I'm doing. Grayson, Todd, Tim, Drake, Cassandra, and Damien.
You fucked up.
You forgot Carrie Kelly.
She doesn't count.
Yes, she
does.
You forgot Stephanie Brown.
Yep.
Did I say something about
You said Cassandra Cain, who was a Batgirl. I don't think she was Robin.
She was never Robin.
Yeah, you fucked
up like so many ways.
Yeah. You're a fucking failure, Milan.
All the actors to have played Batman, and I'm not going to count the 1949 serial because I do not know, and I'm not going to count voice actors except for Kevin Conroy.
So,
all right. Well, still going to do it. Adam West, Michael Keaton. I was about to say Kane.
Michael Keaton is Batman. I'm the goddamn Batman.
Michael Keaton. I'm going to throw Kevin Conroy in there. Val Kilmer, George Clooney, Christian Bale, and now Ben Affleck.
Fucking Val Kilmer. Val Kilmer. Man,
He's a pretty good Batman.
It's alright, let's kind of get off of this
No, we're not going to get off Val Kilmer. Dude, Val Kilmer is a fucking warlock.
Okay, anyway.
Wait. Ian, hang on. Milan. In a non-ranty way, in a tweet, tell me how Val Kilmer is a warlock.
He is the Midwestern warlock of all fat people.
Okay, anyway. Bill, guys, I'm trying to get to a point here.
Okay, go ahead.
Now, we're talking about, like, becoming bigger fans of things than your friends that introduced you to it.
Uh-huh.
How about this one? Because I have this with Bobby. Where you're both a fan of the thing, you surpass them in fandom, and then they start to play catch-up with you. That happened with Bobby and I with Batman, and to a lesser extent with Green Lantern. Bobby and I are big Batman fans, but he never really got into the comics, and once I got into the comics, Bobby's like, God, that's so cool, I gotta start reading more of those. And he's been buying more comics and stuff because of that.
Hold on, he's been buying stuff? Hasn't he been, borrowing it from you?
Like, I don't have many trades of Batman that I can just give him. If you've seen Bobby's room, you wouldn't trust him with your comics either.
I had that with Dragon Ball Z and my friend Derek, who is somebody I haven't seen in like fucking 10 years. But me and my friend Derek, he's the guy who got me into DBZ through the Budokai video games. And he had watched the show before getting into the games, but I got obsessed with the show after playing the games. So I was like, I gotta find out why all this shit happened. Because the Budokai games tell you the story, but they don't go into the details. They're just like, oh, Vegeta punched this guy in the face. Figure out why on your own, you fucking stupid kids.
That's literally what the damn narrator said. It was like,
and that's the source behind all Ian and I's psychological trauma as children. watching the show, and then I would start dropping references to it with my other friend Nick, and Derek would be lost, like, oh, who is that? And mainly because Budokai 2, Budokai 1 and 2 don't go into, like, the stuff that happens after Buu, like, all the stuff that sets up GT. So we'd be dropping references to that shit, and he'd be like, what? So then he starts watching the show more closely, and then we all just became these gigantic DBZ nerds. And we would have, like, fights and shit. Oh, it was awesome. I missed those days.
You're just like, yeah, you're gonna fucking LARP DBZ. Like,
well,
hi,
okay.
Kame! Kame, ha! You throw a
We
fucking
were 9.
baseball.
We were fucking 9, so I think it's slightly more acceptable than that.
No, it's not.
LARP is fun. Don't knock LARPing.
I
LARPing
know.
is so fucking fun.
All right.
I know,
You just go out in the yard and you hit people with swords. That's awesome.
Guys, I almost became a LARPer. Basically, me and my,
wrong.
No, trust me, it's cool. Basically, we were at this park, me and a bunch of kids, and, and my mom and whatever, and my stepdad. And essentially, like, we just saw it, and Mom was like, are those the Russian warriors killing each other on the field? And we went over them, and it was a bunch of fucking guys in full decked-out Russian medieval armor with fucking real swords just kicking the shit out of each other. And I was like, what is this? Like, oh, we're just, we're like Aussie blokes. And the mom's like, oh, you guys are not Russian. Oh, okay. And basically you say, oh, we like that time period and we like to fight, put on shows and whatever and LARP and whatever. And basically my stepdad's like, you know what, you sign up with them and I'll give you shit for a mascot, like boots and swords and everything. Don't worry about it. And I'm like, okay. And I'm like, I got their phone number, but I lost it, and I spent like days sifting through through everything, finding their phone number. And I'm like, no, I could have been a Russian knight, kicking ass and taking names.
Indeed.
But unfortunately, it's not to be. I'm sure I can find them online.
I'm just too lazy to.
Exactly. That's the story of my life. I could be so much if I wasn't lazy.
Yeah, likewise. All could be.
Yeah.
I think we'd all could be that. You can be anything you want to be. The only thing standing in your way is you.
You.
Yeah.
Who is this you? Who is this you? Why is he standing in my way?
He is the
I will
metaphoric.
stop him.
I must kill the you. Stabs himself in the fucking heart.
No, I go searching for you in Chinatown. And like, where is you?
Oh my god! God damn, Milan.
Oh my god.
That's
I'm
amazing.
kidding. Oh, come on. I'm sure I'll get my heart ripped out or something.
Yeah, that's what
I go searching in Chinatown.
human hearts.
Then I go to fucking, Chinatown looking for
Dude,
you.
Milan's not really being that bad. Everyone knows that all people of Asian descent can rip out your heart with their bare
No,
hands.
you don't understand. It's not, nobody rips out, guys. No, this is how somebody rips out my heart. I go to fucking Chinatown looking for you to assassinate him, to keep him out of my way. And I walk into some China shop, into some, Asian food restaurant, and they go, you is in the back. And I go and I open the back door, and it's the fucking Temple of Doom.
No,
and
it's an Asian version of you.
No. And it's a Temple of Doom, and a whole other type of racial stereotype grabs me, ties me to a fucking, wicker wall or whatever, and a guy in a hat that has horns on it comes up and rips my heart out. That's how I'm gonna get my heart ripped out. See, I'm not racist.
No, that's not racist. That's quoting a movie. No, even better. Even better. It would be really meta, and we could totally do this, is we fucking have Milan go through this entire thing. He's searching for you, who he thinks is an Asian, trying to keep him down. And he fucking goes in the back kitchen, and he says, hey, you! And you turns his head, and it's an Asian version of Milan. He's got, hat makeup on, like fucking Sean Connery from You Only Live Twice. And it's a really meta experience, and they have to kill each other in order to find out who you is. And
everyone's like, all the guys who work in the kitchen, like, why is you kicking the shit out of himself?
And yeah, well, in the end, Milan triumphs and murders you, and he starts laughing maniacally. His hands are covered in Yu's blood, and he lifts his hands to his face, and he smears the blood on his face, and when he brings the hands back down, he has Yu's face, and the movie just ends.
This is a very strange conversation.
Oh yeah.
This is what the Geeky Gentleman movie will be about.
Like seriously, we should do like a multi-million-dollar like ad campaign for the Geeky Gentleman movie, and then when we get there, it's just three guys in chairs talking, and one's wearing a Godzilla costume the whole fucking movie.
It's one continuous shot.
Right?
But not in the TikTok sense where it's really impressive. It's just one shot.
Yeah, it's just like a grounded tripod shot, and we're all in like the chairs and the suits, and it's well lit and everything. It looks professional quality. It's just us fucking talking.
No, it'd be even better if it was like multi-million-dollar fucking advertising, but it was really shittily produced. Like, you just got Haley to fucking hold the camera. It's really great.
Yes, I got the professional photographer to just hold the camera.
Oh, no. And she just complains. No. She holds the camera, and she's like, Ian, I'm getting tired. You can hear her behind the camera, like,
shut up, woman!
Exactly.
You will continue to hold that camera.
Okay. Anyway.
This conversation is taking an awesome turn.
Yeah. No, it's interesting though. I want to kind of get back to the topic because I think there are other things left to talk about in here. With the idea of your fandoms bleeding into other things, I do this constantly within my own fandoms and definitely within the fandoms that have bled into me from my other friends. You begin to cross them over in your head constantly.
Definitely.
And that's the place where fan fiction is born, my friend.
Well, yeah, but I mean, like, I came up with that. Well, I came up with that, what I think is still a really awesome premise for a Godzilla Doctor Who crossover. And like I've just become obsessed with Godzilla and Cthulhu fighting.
And I will not say anything about this because it's top secret right now. I am writing a James Bond fan fiction that has something to do with Doctor Who.
Oh, neat.
I will not say what it is, because I want people to be surprised.
Is James Bond Doctor Who?
Yes. We find out.
James Bond is a Time Lord. It finally makes sense.
Yes.
We destroyed your secret.
No, that's actually not it. It's something else. No, but I think
and
the
he's
biggest.
like, fuck! I gotta think of some other twist.
No, it's not that. The other one aside from Bond and Who that happened with me was Sherlock and Who. That's the big one. That's the one everybody fucking wants, and I'm included in this. And there was this video that Ian sent me recently where somebody edited together clips from Doctor Who and Sherlock.
And it looks incredible.
It looks amazing. Like Chris Hardwick, who works at BBC America, fucking posted it on his Twitter feed, so you know it's fucking reached out to people. It looks amazing.
Yeah.
It will eventually happen. Once these two shows stop being relevant and cool, this will happen as a last-ditch effort to make these things cool again.
It would make no sense because the Doctor has referenced Sherlock as a fictional character several times.
Parallel universe. The universe bled into the mind of the writer, and that's always the explanation they use, and it's like, guys, get a better explanation.
Right? Just don't even address
like, oh, the parallel universe must have drifted into the mind of this writer, and he thought he was writing fiction.
Well, I mean, the way you do it with Sherlock is you just don't.
That's what they do with Lovecraft all the time.
Oh yeah, they do that a lot with him. They did that in the movie I was talking about earlier, where he was, he was writing about it to keep it a secret. And they kind of did that with, which is weird. They did the they also, what really pissed me off about that movie, knowing what I know about Lovecraft, is they're just using the bare bones essentials of his mythos and don't use any of the stories.
Oh, that sucks.
It's basic, and they also use comic book panels, and they try to pass it off like Lovecraft is a comic book author. It's really bad.
What?
It's pretty awful. You'd hate it. It's really bad.
You couldn't make most of Lovecraft's stuff into comic books.
Yeah, but they try to pass it off like he's a comic book.
So many people have tried, and some of them have not succeeded, but came up with some interesting artworks.
Have you read the IDW stuff where they crossed over a lot of their comics with Arkham?
No.
I heard about that. I wanted to see what it was about because it looked kind of interesting. Like, I think the Transformers were fighting, like, Lovecraft monsters, and I was like, that's kind of awesome.
Did it?
Like, I mean, like, the artistic representations of the Lovecraft monsters are always really cool, but they're not as terrifying as what's in your head, and the whole point of the guy's writing is this intentional vagueness that makes it so much more effective, because to say it cannot be described is so much more horrific than to say it was a bubbly monster with tentacles and shit.
With a cuttlefish on its face.
Yeah, I still hate that one.
It's a past
It's
reference.
such dated language. It just doesn't work, and it sounds silly.
You know what I just realized? We have made like 3 specific references to really old episodes of Geeky Gentlemen in this episode.
Yeah?
It's weird. No, but I agree on the Lovecraft side of things. And this conversation...
Ian, I gotta tell you something. You saying that, I'm like, I am now romantically in love with you. Thank you. That is...
You're welcome.
That is beautiful.
You didn't need a
fact
reason.
that
Don't lie, Milan.
No. The fact that I managed to touch you in such a way. Thank you. That came out so wrong.
I mean, I wrote a whole fucking paper about Colors Out of Space because it is a fantastic romp through fucking with everything written in modern philosophy. It just totally comes in and fucks it all up. 'Cause Descartes' whole thing is, I have no way to confirm that anything I think I know is true. The only thing I can know is true is that I think, and that I therefore must exist, because something that does not exist cannot think. I think, therefore I am. So that's where modern philosophy starts. And then the empiricists show up, and they're all like, no, all knowledge has to come through the senses. There's no other way you can know something unless you come to know it through your senses. Because otherwise, how do you know what color is? You have to experience color. A blind man can't know color. And that's really interesting. And then Kant comes in, and he just says, no, fuck it, we'll put these two together, because they make perfect sense. So you get baked ideas, because everything must exist in time and space, and you know this innately, and you begin to realize these things, these observations within time and space through your senses, and that's why we get baked ideas. And then Lovecraft comes in, it's like, well, fuck that shit, here's a brand new color! What?
It's funny because Lovecraft was the first guy to use brain in a jar, and he did it smart-wise because, you know the whole Grant Morrison issue where the brain is removed from a robot man's body? I think it's Doom Patrol, and essentially he has no point of reference, he has no eyes, ears, nose, or nerves, essentially it's just a brain in a jar, and he starts hallucinating because he has no point of reference. And
That's clever.
That's clear. And basically, H.P. Lovecraft did that kind of like in The Whisper from Darkness, because essentially, and he also did I think he was the first guy to incorporate the ancient aliens in his At the Mountains of Madness.
Yeah,
He
wasn't that
basically-
like the first story where it was like aliens are the genesis of human
Yeah.
life?
And the funny thing is, he plays around with these, new breakthroughs for his time of science. It kind of makes horror stories out of them, because he did one with evolution, because, of course evolution wasn't known, even now evolution is not really accepted by dumbasses, but he played with that. He made evolution the point of the story, and you could see the plot coming like a mile away. Well, not really, if you've never heard of the story, but it's the strange case of Walter White, not Walter White, but some guy named Walter and his family, and it's essentially
Curse of Heisenberg.
Essentially, it's taking the concept of evolution and people's actual fear of it. People who don't believe in it are afraid of it because, like, I don't come from no monkey, and he took this, scientific breakthrough and made a horror story out of it. Made people afraid, like, yes, you are a fucking monkey, mate. Yeah, and it's basically he played around with all breeding with animals and things that are half human, half animals, and just, you know, the thing with Lovecraft, he doesn't straight out
Wait,
say...
Lovecraft did a story like that?
Yeah, he did.
What story is it?
It's basically, there's two names of it, but I'll send you a link to it. It's really cool. A reading
Sounds kind of like Island of Dr. Moreau, so I definitely...
Kind of, yeah. It plays with, you know, ancient ancestry and, you know, evolution.
There's something else.
But Ian, if I may say this, when you went into that rant about time and space, I immediately heard this in my head.
Well, no, I mean, just go ahead and put that off. It really doesn't sound good.
That's immediately, it was like, Ian has become the Doctor.
Well, no, I mean, it's just like, I suppose he's right. You know, science has proven wrong, but just it sounds good when you talk about it. All right, Bill, show me space. And I'm not talking about space like pointing up in the star sky. I'm like, show me space devoid of objects.
Ooh.
It's a really weird thing. You can't experience space. You can only experience objects in a void.
Well, tell me, in that same vein, tell me the difference between an open field and a house.
Right. No, it's just so like the idea is you innately experience space and you innately experience time. You don't experience it like there's a chair, there's a wall, there's space, there's another chair.
Right.
You don't experience time like there's a ball, time, there's a ball on the ground.
Yeah, it's all yeah.
Ian, have you read what's the story called? In the Witch House? Anyway, it's called The Witch House something. I forget the name. It's so embarrassing.
No, I haven't read it.
Dreams in a Witch House. And it's
I haven't read it, Milan.
Okay, essentially, it's H.P. Lovecraft taking quantum physics and making a shit-your-pants horror story out of it. And the thing is,
That's fun.
You know, he essentially incorporates fucking his own mythology and, you know, the Salem witch trials and whatever. And he kind of takes quantum physics and essentially he undermines, you know, devil worship and Christianity and makes it all about the old ones. H.P. Lovecraft is such a subtle writer, and that's the thing. There's no other writer out there that uses fucking new breakthroughs in, you know, science to tell horror stories. But H.P. Lovecraft did that, and you know, taking these new concepts and essentially making people shit their pants at them is really quite fascinating.
Yeah. No, it's just, sorry, I gotta get this Kant out of my head. So you experience space and time on an innate level. You don't experience it like you experience, you know, touching a chair or whatever. So it's one of those interesting things, and Lovecraft just fucks with all of it, and it's really interesting in that aspect. If you know it, it shouts that he's aware of what of what they've done. And then that's one of the things about it. Philosophy is a great interest of mine, and it's fun to see how it applies to things I'm a fan of. And a lot of times, the people that write it don't even know that they're writing about this.
Right.
That's how great the influences of the stuff can be, and I always find that really fun.
Yeah, definitely.
And then I get annoyed when I hear people quoting great philosophy in really shitty, stupid ways. Like fucking Kelly Clarkson. Doesn't mean I'm lonely because I'm alone. I fucking love that line. Sartre is the very first existentialist, and the man was awesome, and I love that. It's one of his best quotes. If you are lonely when you're alone, you're in bad company. I love that line. It's a fantastic quote. And then Kelly Clarkson has to fucking sing it like a goddamn deaf child, and it just makes it terrible.
No, my favorite example is like somebody like that trying to sound like really intelligent and philosophical. I can't quote it verbatim because it's so fucking unintelligible nonsense. I can't even bring it to mind. But I'm going to try and describe it, and hopefully somebody out there will know what I'm referring to. There was a model who did one of those pageants, and you know you have to be interviewed briefly. You know when you're.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, and she's like, God, it was such nonsense.
Everywhere like such as...
Yeah, everywhere like such as, like, Zimbabwe, and the American education system can be better. It was such horseshit. Pull out of her ass to sound smart and worldly. It was so fucking funny.
Not smart.
Well, to be fair to that girl, those competitions are really fucking stressful.
Oh, definitely. I mean, it's one of those things that's like, what does this have to do with the pageant?
And
but I remember hearing...
The thing is, I hate it when people kind of... When somebody says something stupid, everyone's like, oh my god, like, the thing with... I know this is completely off topic, but the thing with Justin Bieber, right?
Oh, God.
Is that people, like, personally, I don't give a fuck about Justin Bieber, but the thing is, I wouldn't have given a fuck about him. I wouldn't have even heard who he was if people who hate him didn't just constantly yammer on about him and tell me, like, oh, he fucking did this and that bullshit. And it's like, I don't want to fucking know. And people are confused, like, why is he so bad? I mean, like, if you're bombarded with pure fucking bile and hatred from the second you're fucking become famous, I mean, like, it's not his fucking fault. He's the way he is.
That's no excuse, Milan.
I know, but he's
Half
raised
the shit he's fucking done.
I know, but the thing is, I don't care. That's the thing. I don't give a fuck.
No, you're right. It doesn't affect any of us at all. But I'm just saying that's no excuse for some of the shit he's done in the press lately.
I don't.
Well, like, I don't know. Have you guys heard the new Bo Burnham song, "Repeat Stuff"?
No.
Bo Burnham's a pretty funny guy, and he just released a new special that's on Netflix and YouTube, and it's called What? And my favorite song in the thing, he starts out talking about how love songs have always been really the basis of popular music, and how lately artists have been really putting a new spin on love songs, and he just wanted to try to capture that, but also do it in a kind of a different way. And then he sings what is possibly the best meta commentary on a love song, on a modern love song I've ever seen. The chorus is, I guess I'll just repeat stuff, repeat stuff, repeat stuff, repeat stuff, repeat stuff, repeat stuff. And like he's just going through it, and he's playing piano, he's got the microphone right there in front of him. And this is what I think epitomizes the whole song. You gotta watch the video for this, but he sees the microphone in front of his face, and he goes, "Oh, hello, Satan." And then he opens his mouth and just basically swallows the microphone and starts, like, sucking it off. And then he, like, lets go of the microphone, and he goes, "Oh, Satan, you taste so good."
Bill Hicks did that, like, a long time ago.
In reference to modern pop music?
Yep.
Oh, interesting.
He had a whole famous bit called Goat Boy. He's like, okay, Vanilla Ice, get on your knees. I'm Satan. He just made noises.
It reminds me of that scene from Tenacious D in The Pit of Destiny. Where Satan...
Pick of Destiny.
What? Yeah, oh, that's it, I'm sorry. And where Tenacious D and fucking Satan have a rock-off so that before the fucking guy gets fucked by Satan.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Actually, that reminds... Tenacious D is something I got into because of one of my friends. But I think we're kind of, like, wrapped up on this, unless anyone else had something they wanted to throw in on the topic at hand.
I do. The thing is, once you hang around with your friends, you eventually kind of start to like the things they like. It's inevitable. Mm-hmm.
Oh, wait, I just thought of one for me, too. Go ahead and finish up that one.
I mean, like, I've never thought I'd ever get into Green Lantern. Ian never thought he'd get into H.P. Lovecraft, and Bill never actually thought he'd get into Doctor Who the way he is.
Not in a million years.
Not in a million years.
Oh my god, it's insane how much Bill got into Doctor Who, because before he got into it, he was like, I don't know, this looks stupid. You go watch the first reaction video we did.
It's weird.
And he is, like, so against liking it at the beginning of the video.
I thought I was gonna hate it. I was dreading it. And now look at me. Now I'm looking at a Weeping Angel toy I have. I have a giant dictionary about Doctor Who. It's fucking insane.
Yeah, and like...
Talk about a 180 turn.
Yeah, I mean, in Ian, he's basically never thought he'd like... This is some mental kid raving on about some dead fucking writer from the 20s.
That's exactly what he thought about.
And now
it.
he's writing, and he's fucking writing, college papers on this guy. And here's this, mental kid, thinking like, I'm never gonna get into this space police bullshit. The movie sucked and whatever. And then I read the first fucking trailer, and I'm like, take me, Sinestro. Take me.
Put your yellow dick in my mouth.
Orange, you bastard!
Purple. It's purple, actually, but okay.
Wouldn't his dick be yellow, though? Like, the energy fucking, consumes the dick, and... What if he creates? What if he creates a dick construct because he's sad about how small his actual dick is?
Okay, Bill. Anyway,
if I ever get the chance to write Green Lantern, this is the story I'm doing.
Oh my God.
The truth behind it, what the rings are used for. It's just horrible erotic fiction.
I guarantee you can find some Green Lantern porn out there that
definitely
drawing something. It's funny. There's I can't believe I'm talking about this, but fuck it, why not? The Justice League porn parody that came out a while back.
That was a big deal, yeah.
Yeah, there's that scene where Harley Quinn gets fucked by Green Lantern, and the special effects for Green Lantern's, energy blasts are fairly good, good quality fan film kind of good. And I'm just like, they're really wasting an opportunity that they didn't take the time to, do a special effect where Green Lantern creates a green dildo and uses it.
It would be so easy, too. Just do a fade.
Right?
Just do a fucking fade.
Yeah, it really would be easy. It'd be hilarious, and, the fans would appreciate it more.
The fans, yeah, they're just fucking sitting there clicking off.
Well,
all of a sudden that happens, and they're just like, that was a really good use of visual effects and the use of the character. Bravo. Ugh.
Well, no. It's that's what made the Batman porn parody so popular, is that they actually, made it... They took the time to actually make it look like the old Batman show. It wasn't just get the guy in Adam West costume. They actually, everything was... If you were watching an episode of the Adam West show, you could potentially cut in scenes from this and it wouldn't look very
Somebody needs to do that. Just for the sake of doing
Somebody already did.
Milan's like, Bill, go deep in my channel, in the deepest, darkest channels of my channel, and you'll find it.
Yeah.
So
one thing I just remembered that I was...
Only Thursday afternoon, and I created this. I don't know why I've decided to make Milan Southern, but I am.
And one of the other things I wanted to talk about with this topic that I kept meaning to bring up, but then we got onto Cthulhu and shit.
Cthulhu and shit.
So we've talked about bleeding fandoms where you become a fan of something because a friend of yours is. Have you ever become a fan of something in spite of someone else's liking it? Or not liking it, I mean? You just hear someone complain about something so much that you actually become a fan of it?
Actually, yes.
No, I don't think so.
Funny enough, I can't remember an example, but I do know this happened to me a few times.
Yeah, I kind of became that way with Green Lantern, because I just, everyone on YouTube that I watch just does not like Green Lantern. They're just like, I just never got into it, or I don't really like it. And there's some people who are just, this is really bad. I'm like, well, fuck it, I want to kind of read this now. And then I got into Green Lantern in spite of other people not liking it.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I don't know, it's just one of those weird things.
Good for you, son. Good for you.
Yeah. I don't know, I just, in spite of something, it seems like it's plausible because of how big a thing the internet is now, with all these different reviewers and critics and stuff just bashing stuff. You'd think you might get into it, you might get into something in spite of someone else not liking it. Hello?
Yeah.
Hello?
Hello?
Where the
yeah.
fuck spawned?
Oh, sorry, I agree with you completely. I'm just checking out something.
Well, goddamn it, Milan, pay attention to the show.
I'm sorry.
Bill left the phone, or left the Skype call for a moment. He's just sitting there, so this is going to be our opportunity to talk shit about Bill.
Oh, yeah, Bill, he is I never thought his hair. I don't think he's a natural blonde.
You're such a fag.
What? What?
Like, I never used that word in, like, the mean sense, but that was just such a fag thing to say.
What? I'm not a faggot. I like the vagina.
That was like the stereotypical fag thing to say. Oh my god.
Shut up.
I've never used the word fag like that, but oh my god.
Just because I can't say that in here. Just because I happen to enjoy a man's physical body does not mean I'm a faggot. I like the vagina as much as I do the cock.
Yeah, okay.
That makes me a quarter fag? It doesn't matter.
It'd be a half fag, but okay.
Alright then.
No, I had a friend, I had a classmate in high school who, this kid cracked me up. He's like, oh, I'm bi, actually. I'm like, really? Yeah. How much have you done with a guy? Oh, I've gone all the way. How much have you done with a girl? Oh, we've only kissed. You're gay. I'm like, sorry, but you're gay, bro.
Sorry, you're gay, bro. I love that. You say that in the most stereotypical jock accent ever.
Sorry, bro. You're gay.
Sorry, bro. You're gay. Oh. Yeah.
Oh, man.
Tell me something clever and philosophical to say, and I'll say it in a jock accent.
Okay. Man is condemned to be free because once thrown into the world, he is responsible for everything he does.
Go Redskins!
Okay. Was that too long for you, or what?
No, I just condensed all that into one phrase.
Okay. Alright, so we want to keep going with this then. Hold on, give me a moment. Give me a moment, I'll be right back. I'll do this. Entertain people, Milan.
Alright then.
Oh, wait, I have it in here.
He's getting a book on philosophy. I'm scared.
Yeah, let's grab that spake Zarathustra. No, that is not in a good place to grab.
That's what he said.
Okay, fine. I'll just pull it from memory. The leap leaps off from a leaping off realm, and it leaves this realm behind, but it does not relinquish this realm from what we have learned before the leap.
It's 22, 23, hut, yaw!
Is that supposed to be a riddle?
No. I'm talking about philosophy, and Milan is giving the jock interpretation of it.
Oh, that's weird. Are we still recording?
Yeah, we're waiting for your ass.
Oh, okay.
Like,
alright.
You wait till I'm about ready to wrap up.
Yeah, no, I know.
Like,
That's why
don't wrap
I
up.
said don't wrap up yet. I thought maybe you ignored my request. Let me just give my final thoughts then, if you don't mind, since you guys want to end.
Go ahead.
I would not be a fan of almost everything I'm a fan of without bleeding fandoms. It's inevitably going to happen when you hang out with people long enough. And I'm sure that as long as I continue to interact with other human beings, that it'll happen again at some point. So it's a phenomenon that is inevitable. It's not something I think you can control, and I think it happens to everybody at some point. And it's not always necessarily with, like, you know, fictional or geeky stuff. It can be with a sport or a restaurant somebody likes or clothing or whatever it might be, but I think it happens with everybody, just due to human interaction.
Yeah, I'd agree. I mean, I think it's definitely something that happens with sports. You could say that.
Definitely.
Oh, yeah, totally. Definitely.
And with more, you know, upper class people that are above sports and above nerd culture, it definitely happens with, you know, artists or what have you.
Occupation.
Yeah. So, all right, everybody. That was a fun episode. Bill, are we still talking about the same thing that we decided to talk about, or did you change your mind?
No, I still want to do that. So last night we announced the next topic for the next video, and since it was not recorded, I have to fucking announce it again. Next week on Geeky Gentlemen, we are going to be doing a review topic, and we are going to be reviewing, comparing, and contrasting the first two Terminator films, The Terminator and Terminator 2 Judgment Day.
Yep, we sure are.
Yep. It's gonna
Cool.
be cool, I think.
In the world...
I'm totally gonna... Dude, I'm so excited. I have a 3D model of the damn T-800. That's gonna be fun.
Nice.
No, wait, T-1000.
Yeah, the T-800 is the one that Arnold is.
Oh, no, that's what I meant. I thought the T-800... I was thinking of the T-600.
Yeah, the T-600 is the rubber face, the T-800 is the one that Arnold is, and the T-1000 is the one from T2.
Okay,
The one from T3 is the TX.
Okay, I have a 3D model of the T-800, so we're gonna think of something after...
I got an idea for that, actually. That would be
Alright. Well, don't tell yet. Alright, everybody, so thank you for listening to this week's episode of Geeky Gentlemen. And until next time, I'm the Philosopher.
I'm the Fanatic.
And I am a madman.
And we are your Geeky Gentlemen, and we will be discussing